Okay, good evening, dear students. We will meet again at behavioral accounting class. And as we discussed about our previous meetings is about heuristic. And now I will be review some material about heuristic. And then we have a quiz. And after quiz, we will discuss about the implications of the behavioral heuristic in our decision making, especially in financial decision makings. And after that, we will discuss about our new topics about bystander effects. So I will review our previous meetings about heuristics. And then we will have a quiz. Please ready for the quiz after our review some material topics. And then after that, we discuss about the implications of the heuristic in our financial decision making. And then we will discuss about new topic in bystander effects. Heuristic is the rule of thumb strategies that allow us to make judgment and solve the problem efficiently. Heuristic is a shortcut that sometimes this is make our decision making more easily and more efficient, but sometimes make some bias in our decision making. Okay, there are three types of heuristic. The first one is availability heuristic. Availability heuristic is the quick decision-making strategy based on easy to remember or familiarity or memorable informations. And the representativeness heuristic is subjective assessment of the object or subjects based on the similarity of the object to their populations. For example, that when we saw somebody bring a camera, we predict that their profession is photographer. This is the representativeness heuristic. And the anchoring is the tendency of individuals when predicting an initial value and generally do not make sufficient adjustment to the base value when making a decision. So in our previous meeting, we discussed about the three types of heuristic. The first one is availability heuristic. It's the quick decision-making strategy based on easy to remember, memorable, familiarity information, such as when we saw the airplane crash is more easy to remember and memorable compared to motorcycle accidents. And the second is representativeness heuristic, and the third is anchoring adjustment. Yes, this is our material in our previous meeting, and now we will have some quiz. Please be ready, dear students, and I will continue our material about the implications of the heuristic in our financial decision makings. What is financial behavior stemming from the familiarity or availability heuristics that it can be see on the investment decision making? It's continued to be true that domestic investor mostly have domestic securities. That is, for example, American investor hold mostly U.S. securities, Japanese investor hold mostly Japanese securities, maybe India investor hold mostly India securities, and so on. And this is the tendency that our behavior affected by availability of heuristics. This is, for examples, I have data about the estimated country weight among international investor. This is the market US, Japan, and UK, French, and then in the top of table is US investor, Japanese investor, and UK investor. And the United States had 47.8% of the world market capitalizations. Japan to 2006.5, UK 13.8, and the French 4.3, German 3.4, and Canada 3.8. But the typical of US investor held in this data, see that US investor held 93% mostly US securities held by US investor, and so that in Japan market also the Japanese investor hold most Japan securities, and in UK market also majority held by UK investor, etc. So the domestic investor overweight the domestic stock. This behavior is called a home bias, because when we invest, the reason why investor might hold more domestic security is because they are more optimistic about their market relative to the foreign markets. Another explanations about this data is that the investor is comfort-seeking behavior, or get the investment in familiarity way. One the reason why investor may favor local market, where local market is interpreted as either domestic or close to home, but within the same country, is because they may pose or may feel that they pose informational advantage rather than foreign securities. Gains from geographical close to a company may appear to improve monitoring capability and access to private informations, but this is actually biased toward the home country flies in the face of evidence indicating that this diversifying internationally allow investor to reduce risk without sundering the return. So actually that the home bias, which investor only choose the local securities, this is make our investment is not diversifying internationally. And this is the example of financial behavior framing for the representativeness heuristic. There is evidence that representativeness and related bias induce inappropriate investment decisions. To causal observer, it seems obvious that if a company has high quality management and strong image and consistent growth in earning, it must be good investment. But stock valuation is not depend on this image, but depend on the future cash flow. Present value of future cash flow are forecasted and discounted back to the present using an appropriate risk-adjusted discount rate. And that make a company a good company should theoretically be reflected in this estimate future cash flow and risk-adjusted discount rate. That is, they should already import in the price. Good company will sell at high price, and bad company will sell at low price. But once the market has adjusted, there is no reason to favor a good company over the bad company. There is evidence that the firm image impact the perceptions of the investment attractiveness. While the positive firm image can only be seen as a good attribute, its ability to generate cash flow and growth should have already been capitalized in the price of the stock. Nevertheless, there is no evidence that perceptions of brand quality, once brand recognition was controlled for, led to retail investors increasing the demand for the stocks. And It is a mistake to think that good company is representative of good investment. It is exactly what people often seem to believe. For them, according to market efficiency, excess return should be unpredictable because the market efficiency. As we know that there is tendency to overestimate predictability, there may be tendency to associate the past success with likely future returns. Research also shown that investors choose security and investment based on the past performance. Investment performance in the recent past is representative of the future investment performance. This form of the trend following is an international phenomena. From Japan, the evidence is that stock that experience increases in individual ownership for past winners. This is the example how the representative heuristic can make our influence our financial decision makings. And the third type of heuristic is anchoring. This is the example of how anchoring in our decision making. There are an experiments in real estate appraisal. The two selected group in real estate agents. Group A, the participant has group by group A, also group B. They were given the same tour and identical package information, which include the house list price. The only difference between group A and group B, the first group was given the list price of the home is $65,900. And the second group give the list price of the home is 83 until $83,000, $83,000, and the result is it's not to be surprising that agents were influenced by the list price. Yet the list price are quite variable and often have strategic component. The average appraisal group in the first group, which is give the list price is more low, and the second group, this is the group A. They have informed that the price of the house is $65. And then the price group B, they inform that the price of the home is $19,000, and the real estate agents were anchored on the list price. They exposed that despite the fact that only 25 mentioned the list price as one factor that they considered. In the group A, they predict that the house will be $67,000 and $1,000, and this B, they predict that the house have higher $190,000. So this is the difference that our decision making is affected by anchor, and we not make the following adjustment in our initial belief. This is the example how anchoring in our impact our decision making. That I repeat that this is the experimental design. Participants have group by group A, also group B, and then they in group A, they ask to predict the price of house. They ask to appraisal the price of the house, and group A, they inform in the group A, the participant has informed that the price has initial value is $65,000, and the group B, they inform that the price of the home is $83,000, and they in group A and B should be predict how much the cost of the home, and group A, which has lower initial value of the price, predict they predict how the price of her house is lower than the group B. Yeah, so this is the example of the anchoring adjustment, that if we get the initial value, initial belief about the price of the home, then we cannot move on we cannot make adjustment in our decision making. This is the example of anchoring. Okay, is there any questions about the example of heuristic before we go to our next materials? Is there any questions? Okay, if not, I will continue our discussions about the next materials about the bystander effects. Before I start, I will show you about the phenomena of bystander effect. This is the video. It's about in social experiments to explain how bystander effects is explained in our
narrative. A man is passing by, seeing a stranger lying on the road, and the Bible is from the surviving and doing well. The idea, the church, like most people, from helping, from being passive, in some cases from being indifferent to the suffering of my fellows.
What's the pickpocket in action? The woman with the rucksack is his victim, and the man in the grey top on the left is the thief. Except they're both acting. In fact, everyone in the queue is with us, apart from the man in the blue shirt. As the thief moves in, will our bystander notice? He clearly has. What's more, he's seen that other people in the queue have noticed too. Now, what's he going to do about it? The answer is nothing. After all, no one else in the queue reacts, so why should he? Chances are, you wouldn't have done anything either. Whatever the man in the blue shirt thinks he's seen, he's influenced by the apathy of everyone else in the queue. In more serious situations, this could have disturbing consequences. Liverpool Street.
Okay, Miss, maybe dear student, would is there one maybe Miss Harini or Miss K, would you mind to explain about what about this movie, the social experiments? About what? Miss Harini, would you mind to explain? This social experiments is explained about what kind of phenomena? Maybe the other. Yes?
Ma'am, I think that the blue shirt is being judged that how he is watching others and he's changing his behavior, and how he is influenced by others' behaviors too, ma'am.
Yes, good. Miss K, right?
Yes,
The blue skirt man's he noticed that somebody cheat the woman wallet, but he confused how he should react if the other people also notice too, but they don't do anything. So this is the example of bystander effects, that we tend to not do anything if we notice that there are cheatings or some the other events, and we keep quiet, if the other people also notice too, and they are quiet too. This is the example of a bystander effect. I will continue to play these movies.
Except they're both acting. In fact, everyone in the queue is with us, apart from the man in the blue shirt. As the thief moves in, will our bystander notice? He clearly has. What's more, he's seen that other people in the queue have noticed too. Now, what's he going to do about it? The answer is nothing. After all, no one else in the queue reacts, so why should he? Chances are you wouldn't have done anything either. Whatever the man in the blue shirt thinks he's seen, he's influenced by the apathy of everyone else in the queue. In more serious situations, this could have disturbing consequences. Liverpool Street Station in London. A drunk lies on the pavement. In fact, he's our actor, Peter, but these passers-by aren't to know that. And since he looks the worse for wear, not critically ill, they ignore him. Helping would be inconvenient or even risky. He lies there for 20 minutes and no one raises an eyebrow. This time, we've dressed Peter as a respectable city gent. How long before he's rescued now that he looks the part?
How are you today?
I'm all right then.
6 seconds. She even calls him sir. And suddenly, everyone's a good Samaritan.
Do you suffer from epilepsy?
No.
While you're lying on the floor in the rain?
After a couple of minutes, even the police turn up.
I would just hate to be in his position of feeling ill and nobody helping and walking past. So I'd just like to check that he was okay. But I thought, well, it's wet, so he must really be ill because he's going to ruin the suit anyway.
Our actress Ruth takes Peter's place. She's not a drunk, but she's also not a city gent. How long before she gets help? Four minutes have passed, and 34 people have passed.
People don't really want to know that this hasn't got the time. Well, they have got the time, they just don't want to get involved.
But it's more complicated than that. If the street were deserted, a passerby would probably go to the rescue. But these strangers have silently formed a temporary group with a rule: don't help. This woman, for instance, has clearly spotted Ruth, but she conforms to the rule and does nothing. Watch what happens, though, when someone else helps. She suddenly finds herself in a different group with a new rule: to help.
You all right, yeah? Sure.
I thought she was dead. Then I saw, checked to see if she was breathing or not. And I looked around and I couldn't believe that no one had noticed her because there was a bloke sat there just absorbed in reading a newspaper.
Peter's now having the same problem. This time, we've swapped his suit for casual clothes. He's not drunk, and we've asked him to act like he's in pain.
Help! Help! Help me! Please, somebody! Help me! Please help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Please, somebody help me! Please, somebody help me!
I got into the tube and sat opposite a guy.
Yes, this is the example or social experiments about the bystander effects. As you see that the bystander effects is explained about the phenomena that in the crucial events, when individuals do not provide assistance in an emergency, when other people are present. Actually, we know that in emergency moments, somebody needs our help, but we not help him because nobody also not there are nobody help him too. This is the phenomena of bystander effects. That is a phenomena when individual do not provide the help in an emergency situations when we know that the other people are present. So we just looking that somebody need our help, but we don't do anything. This is the this kind of phenomena is bystander effect phenomena. Often we assume that more people around of us in an emergency situations, the more people will help. But a study reveals that a different fact that the more presence of other people in emergency incidents actually reduce the tendency individual to provide help of others. The cause of the bystander effect is diffusions of responsibility, the presence of other peoples at the scene of accidents. And the second is social influence, that the social influence is the need to behave in appropriate and socially acceptable manners. And the third is evaluation apprehensions, that individual fear to help the other person that will be negatively perceived by other observers. So the three things is the cause of bystander effect phenomena. The first is diffusion of responsibility, the presence of other people at the scene of accidents. So we say that we need not to help because the other people will help, or social influence, the need to behave in appropriate and socially acceptable manner. We think that if the other people not help, so if I not help him, this is the appropriate way or socially acceptable manners. And the third is evaluation of apprehensions, that individual fear that if we help somebody will be negatively perceived by other observers. So diffusion responsibility is the presence of other at the scene or emergency events will actually reduce one responsibility to help. In their mind that isn't there somebody else, why should I help? So according to them, helping other people in emergency situation is responsibility of the other people who are not who are in the same locations, not our responsibility. The first cause of the bystander effect is diffusion responsibility, because we always think that why should I help him? Because there are too many people around us. Why not they help him? This is the diffusion responsibility. And the second is social influence. The second reason is the need to behave in the socially correct and acceptable way when an emergency event occurs. If the individual sees that other people do not react, then the individual will conclude that inaction is something that is considered socially appropriate. So during the emergency situations, individual will look at actions other people who also witness in the accident to determine what the action is appropriate. When individual sees to no one else is reacting, this sends a signal perhaps no reaction is needed. So this is the social influence why bystander effect occurs. And the third is evaluation apprehensions. Evaluation apprehension is individual fears that the assistant provide will be perceived negatively by other people. So if in the evaluation apprehensions, if we help him, it will be negatively react by our community. So we keep not to help other peoples. Okay, and the type of bystander is effect is a continuum. The first in the innocent bystander, innocent participants, active rationalizers, and guilty preparator. This is the continuum bystander effects. Individual can shift from the innocent bystander to guilty preparator, starting from keeping silence about the occurrence of the fraud, for example. In the end, he can become a preparator of the frauds. The following illustrate the bystander effect continuum. For example, Tony works for public trade company that receive stock-based compensations. The higher stock price, the higher compensation received. One time, Tony was in the office. He received a call from Financial Service Authority. The Financial Service Authority conduct announcement inspections on the company trading activity because it suspected abnormal stock movements, stock price movement. And Tony's leadership asked him to cover up that there was a call from FSE and asked Tony to continue trading the share to give the impressions to FSA and the public that there was nothing to be suspicious of. If Tony, there is inspection from Financial Service Authority and just ignore the order of his superior, then he is an innocent bystander. But if Tony knows there is an inspections and just ignore the other of his supervisor, he is an innocent bystander. But if Tony actively carrying out the stock trading and pretending to deceive FSA and the public, then he is being an active rationalizer. But if Tony keep doing and doesn't report the incident, and then he become the guilty preparator. How we reduce the bystander effect? The first one is reduce feeling about the doubt and increase of the sense of responsibility in the situations. Instill guilty in yourself if you don't help others. Increase empathy and helping behavior, and by being aware of the bystander effect as early as possible in order to minimize the bystander effect and turn into the actions to help. Okay, and there are so many articles and paper which explain how bystander effect can explains about the phenomena in our organizations and our community. For example, this paper is written by Hussains et al. They write topics about the voice of bystander effect, how information redundancy inhibits the employee voice. The background, employee often remain silent rather than speak up to manager with work-related ideas, concern, and opinion. As a result, manager can remain in the dark about the issue that are otherwise well known to or universal understood by frontline employee. And this research proposed that unexplored explanation for this phenomena. Voice of the bystander effect. The more certain information is shared among employee, the less any particular employee feels individually responsible for bringing up the informations to managers. And other theories that such bystander effect are especially likely to occur when peers, of the focal employee on the average enjoy high quality relationship with manager, and there we have adequate relations access to voice up of the hierarchy. And using correlational study involving manager and employee working in the team in Fortune company, as well as two experimental studies, laboratory study involving undergraduate working in hierarchical setting and scenario. The author provide evidence about the bystander effect in the workplace, how the information is not well received by manager because of the bystander effects. This is, I think, the example of the bystander effect in the research examples. Okay, until this material, is there any questions about bystander effects, dear students? Okay, if no, I think this is, I think, social experiments that I do with my students in Indonesia. This actually, I use the hidden camera in perform this social experience. We want to know how people react if somebody needs help in the emergency situations in the supermarkets, and this is the example of how bystander effects in our daily life phenomena. Yes, this is our social experiments with my students. Actually, my students up and down from the stairs 10 times or 7 times, and then after 7 times or 10 times, somebody helped her. This is the bystander example, that if in the emergency situations, if there are a lot of people around these situations, somebody reluctant to help because they believe that the other person will help if I'm not help her. So this is the example of bystander effect, social experiment in our daily life. Okay, dear students, is there any questions or discussions about this theory, bystander effects?
Ma'am, can you explain the application of bystander effect in finance, ma'am?
Okay, good question, Miss K. There are a lot of bystander effect example in our phenomena. For example, how somebody not not speak up about the fraud in the company, because the other employee in this company knows about the fraud scandals, but they do not speak up. Why? Because there is a diffusion of responsibility. They believe that if I'm not speak up, the other the other employee will speak up to blow these frauds. This is an example of bystander effect in our reality, and also this is occur in, for example, in fraud in big company like WorldCom, Enron, because actually the employee knows about the frauds in this company, but they don't want to speak up because the other employee also know, but they silence and not speak up about this fraud. Maybe this is the example of one of example of bystander effect, Miss K. But the other example is there are so many research about bystander effect in finance. For example, cyber bystander reaction toward tourism companies predictive practice during COVID pandemic. I think this is the very good paper about bystander effect. Explain how bystander effect reaction in the tourism company. Also, for example, the other example of research in bystander effects is kinds of research. The voice of bystander effect, how information redundancy inhibits employee voice. Yeah, we already discussed about this paper. That's it, Miss K. Is there any confirmations from you?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions, the others, students?
Ma'am, is escalation of commitment and bystander effect connected, ma'am? Whether it is the base for escalation of commitment, ma'am?
Yes, actually, escalation commitment is how we improve our commitment. If we have initial decision about this or one project, and if the project is failed, we still to commitment in these projects. And but bystander effect is the tendency of our behavior that we keep silence in the emergency situations if we notice that the other people presence in this emergency situation. So we have diffusion responsibility. The responsibility to speak up, to help is not depend on me, on us, but depend on the others. This is maybe a little difference between escalation's commitment and bystander effect, Miss K. Thank you very much for the great questions.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. If no other questions, Prof. Kartikeyan, can I stop our meeting now? Because the material is finished, and I will share for the Google Classroom for the reading materials, the paper, also the PPT that we will discuss in our Friday meeting. Prof. Kartikeyan. Prof. Kartikeyan. Okay, we will still wait for Prof. Kartikeyan. And then, is there any questions from students or comments or about these topics today?
Ma'am, can you please share the videos link to ma'am in the Google Classroom?
Google
ma'am?
Classroom. Okay. Okay. I will.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. And I have shared the PPT. Have you received it, Miss K?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. If there is no questions or discussions about this topic, I think we will end this meeting. It's okay for you students. We end this meeting early. It's okay? Because Prof. Kartikeyan, maybe the signal is not good. Okay, we will stop this meeting. It's okay from you? Miss K, it's okay if I stop these meetings?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, dear students, thank you very much for our discussions and our activity about the bystander effect and also heuristic. We will meet again in the next meeting. I will discuss with Prof. Kartikeyan when the behavioral accounting class will be planned from this week or next week. Okay, thank you very much for Prof. Kartikeyan.
Shall we have this week, or we will discuss based on your schedule? We can allot it, right?
So we have a class for this Friday, right? Is it okay?
Yeah, if you are okay, we will also no issue. I will
Okay.
also check it from my students, right?
Okay, so the seventh meeting will be held in 23 December. Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay.
No
Okay.
issue.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Because the material is
Thank you.
enough. I will end these meetings. Is it okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you very much, Prof. Kartikeyan, and also dear students. Thank you. I will end this meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.